raise awareness, people aren't going to realize that some of the things they're doing illegal. They're not going to realize that there's a threat to families. They're not going to realize that this is actually something people need to be doing something about.
I know it's ridiculous, but as far as I know in Canada too, like they call themselves a church. They're not even.
This organization here in Toronto has non-profit status, which is, I think, wrong because they are for profit. But across Canada, they don't have religious recognition, and that's thanks to protests. Believe it or not. So it does.
The only thing I don't understand how a reasonable thinking person would belong to the first place.
Because it's not for reasonable thinking people. It's a mind control group. So they bring reasonable thinking people in, and then they use psychological techniques which are well known. There's exactly 23 of them. And they use those psychological techniques to get a person from a reasonable person to somebody who's surrendered to mind control. That's how they have people in there.
Of course, the other thing is like there's like for some people it may be like at one stage they were well connected in Hollywood, so someone might see that as an avenue to try to get advance in that business, you know.
Unfortunately, it's not a very wise decision.
No, it doesn't. Well, I'll tell you something else. They were offering some sort of psychological testing and everything.
Yes.
And the guy that was doing the testing, like. I have a degree in psychology and in psychiatry.
I must advise you, if you don't already know, that these individuals are mind controlled to hate psychiatry. It's actually classifiable as hate. Here, let me tell you, if I was still a Scientologist, I have decided I knew psychiatrist, it would be going through my mind that you're an evil person, that you're out to destroy the world. I mean, there's just amazing amount of things.
After studying for 10 years, I heard but anyway, what I'm saying is, these people here,
so you know how much they're taught. Do you have an opinion as to why they're taught to hate psychiatry so much? I've heard different things. I'm just curious.
I don't know, because they have the ability to expose people. It's just like that's why. Because like the basis on which they run their religion doesn't stand up to the scientific psychological.
Just like me, I told them that I disagree with them, and they said that I knew. Totally the same thing. Psychiatrist, psychologist.
Anyway, the guy here absolutely sounded like a guy that just came in off the street and they just forced him up to the Well, I understand that. It's and like
you gotta
what you call like, but it is possible like to brainwash people. Like I hate to say this, the average person in the population is very impressionable. Unfortunately.
Can I make a photo?
Pardon?
Well, there's I know the 23 psychological techniques.
Go ahead.
All of them. And it's been shortened or abbreviated. Do you want me in it too, or just the handsome one? Oh, she's not reading. Here, I'll just stand there. If she doesn't like me, she'll say, get out. All right, thank you. Make sure your members of your family know to be careful, because you can get children, they can get your parents, and once they're in too deep, they won't respond, and they may never talk with you again if you try and speak critically.
You did a great job. Thank you very much.
So I've lost my dad.
Yeah, well, I understand that about Scientology too, that they really split people from their families, which I don't think any other group in the whole of society does that, like, to tell somebody that.
Yes, I think that the Moonies does the same.
Like, it's just like if I said, well, like, I'm a Catholic, my daughter is a Protestant, originally they can't communicate with me. It's totally ridiculous. There is, but I have, but if you look at the people that are involved in psychiatry and in Scientology, like at any level, they may be celebrities, but they're not very smart people. You know? And because if they wouldn't be involved in that, I don't know, like, but I think they're going to die out completely, actually, now. I think this...
Well, I think the corporation ought to collapse, for sure.
Yeah, I think it doesn't create, they don't, that's why...
Have you heard of the bite model?
with?
Bite model.
No,
It
what's
was
that?
invented by a psychologist by the name of Stephen Hassan.
Yeah.
He spent about 20 years in a group called the Moonies, which is also a destructive mind control group, a cult. And the Bite model, it states that
Why
you can
they kill?
evaluate, like the layman, right?
They kill?
The layman
Lisa
can
McPherson.
evaluate an organization if you follow the
Lisa
Bite
McPherson.
model, where the
She
organization
was a Scientologist in the Florida thing,
the
like
person's
in the
access
Florida
to
organization,
information,
and they
and
refused
then
to get her
it
medical
seeks
help.
person's thoughts
And they tried to drive her to at least 3 different hospitals, that they finally, she died in transportation to a Scientology doctor that was at
He
least
doesn't go into psychology.
quite a ways away from the organization
that
doing
are
health captain.
But it gives a quick synopsis, and I think that people can remember it because it's got a good acronym. So it's the Bite model.
Well, that,
Any organization,
it's all over the
whether
world, but
Scientology,
it's being
the
banned.
Unification Church, run by Sun Myung,
they're gonna collapse soon, but
they all
make sure you educate your friends and family, your young ones, 'cause once they get in, it's really hard for them to get out.
Oh yeah, is that how it works?
Yeah, mind control,
Supposed to get out?
disconnection.
Disconnection.
Yeah,
My brother
and like if they get in too deep, they won't even be able to talk to you either. That's the problem.
So did I. 40 years I've been taking psychiatric medication. I led a very successful life at all levels, and without it, I would really have spent my life in misery. Okay, that's just one example. I mean,
Doctor that takes his own medicine,
yeah,
that's a
but
good
people
sign.
stand up. I mean, it's the same. It's like saying, well, oh, like Western medicine is ridiculous. Let's ignore it. But it's just the whole thing.
Well,
But,
the results of that aren't too pleasant, is it? When you ignore medicine.
But anyway, as I said, the only thing surprised me, I think there's going to collapse. They are pretty well known again. There's, I have, I remember the guy that, I mean, he's just a regular second-rate science fiction writer or something.
Yeah.
I mean, he's no genius.
Well, they teach their members that he's a genius, and they practically worship him.
I think the only thing that keeps them going is there are certain people that are sort of, they have a sort of a void in their life. They're looking for something to cling on to.
I think that's actually a misconception, although that may be true. What I've learned, especially from Steve Hassan's book, is that the psychological tricks that Scientology and other cults use, they'll work on any person with a functioning mind. If their mind is in good shape, the tools will work because they are studied and known to work. In fact, the only person that can't be recruited into a cult, factually, is a person with mental deficiency because the tricks don't work, they don't click, right?
But it's like,
the only defense really is wisdom. If you're wise enough, you avoid them. But if you get into it and they use the psychological techniques because they are proven, you will become subservient.
but there aren't even like, it doesn't have to be that subtle. Like there's, for example, I have grandchildren. And I can notice very much like the way in which I interact with them can really influence them. You know?
This is true.
And sort of
Children, they like recruiting children.
Yeah.
They recruit children to work 100-hour work weeks. I worked with some children myself when I was working there for 2 years. They had a 12-year-old girl,
Well, how did you
13-year-old boy.
get into it in the first place? Was it your parents who were in it? You got put in it yourself? Is that the way you got into it?
What happened was that I was raised a Scientologist living at home. And just after I graduated from high school, I was recruited. And they had a very, very tantalizing sales pitch that involved all of the spiritual freedom things that they talk about, and they'd also talk about helping people, which I do believe in. So,
Like I've had battles with, and it's different, but like with Jehovah's Witnesses.
that's
I've had
correct.
battles with them where they didn't want their children to get blood transfusions and things. because
Yes,
it's a weird
one of my
religion.
friends is a real advocate about that. He really dislikes that because it's very, it's very, it's dangerous and it can cause loss of life. It's no busy matter. It's not a matter of beliefs. If you're making decisions that would cost your child's life, that's a very serious thing. And it's not about God and the Jehovah's Witnesses. It is about being subservient to their authority. When someone gets involved with Jehovah's Witnesses, they're getting involved with a very intense authority, very intense discipline, and unfortunately, it is not. I mean, I'm not a Christian because I was raised a Scientologist in my life. But if I was going to read a Bible, I'd read the real one. Apparently, their elders have modified the Bible to fit their interests in controlling their members, and so they actually have some perversions in the text that they have done as they see fit to control their people. So,
And also to stop them from using the internet too.
yes, Jehovah's Witnesses are also banned from the internet. So as far as the BITE model goes, you already have behavior control, restricting access to information. Thoughts, I'm pretty sure that their thoughts are controlled as well, so that's the first three. As far as their emotions, I'm not sure exactly how they do it, but if they're also controlling you emotionally, then you would have fit all four categories of the BITE model.
Tell me this, behind it all, what's their motivation?
It's different for different
Is it a
people.
power trip, or is it a financial, or is it what?
It's different for different people that you talk to. Some people have been involved in international management at the core of it. I have worked as an executive in middle management, so I haven't seen the core. I haven't seen their leader, David Miscavige. I don't know who runs it. But based on what I've felt and what I've witnessed, you know what? It's really weird. It's really hard to describe it. And I don't think that you can assign a motive when every member is under mind control. So maybe ultimately what it is power. Because when you're running a mind control group, you have authority, you have power. So I suppose it would be about authority, but secondarily about money as well. About using your authority to get money.
But at some stage, obviously, with little kids, it's easy. Somebody has to submit themselves to the mind control, you see. But I know there's kind of challenge. Like,
They have a good sales pitch.
Yeah.
They have a great sales pitch.
I don't think it works before, because it's a long time since I met anybody who had anything positive to
Their
say.
sales pitch does pretty well work. I mean, I know that they probably sell hundreds, if not thousands, of these Dianetics books every year. But how many people come back or even finish reading the book? I would probably say I could count them on one hand or two hands. Yeah. Yeah.
Like a bit like there's also the this they're like the well, I said public is very malleable. Like, I'll give you this. There's a store down the street there. It says sports nutrition, and they sell all kinds of. Their products are absolutely useless, but enough people believe it. A lot of it is advertising, things like that, and
That's why it takes people who know the truth to educate people who don't. So that we, there's a scale though of how serious it is. As long as this so-called nutritious food is not any worse than your average bottle of Coke, which is apparently legal to sell, even though it has nothing in nutritional value, that's a low priority because it doesn't cause the harm. I've lost my dad to it. That's permanently torn off memory. So you're right, people are malleable, but I think that they need to be protected from things that are seriously harmful.
But well, I mean, the biggest example of all this, why should stores sell cigarettes?
Yeah, it's
It's actually physically. Anyway, I think these guys. I don't know how much of a foothold they have in Canada. Anyway, is it much?
It's not much because they don't have religious status, and I'm hoping they do not. A very, very.
Why should they have tax-exempt status if they don't have religious status? Shouldn't really.
They applied for non-profit. I don't know the details, but when I find out, I will study law and get it taken away. I assure you, or I'll find somebody who knows how to.
There is a.
There's a gentleman by the name of Greg Hagelin. You should look him up because Greg single-handedly authored 3 thick binders which he presented to Revenue Canada. If it wasn't for that man, they would have religious status in Canada, which would have been a tremendous insult to religion. And Greg Hagelin deserves a medal for that. Nobel Peace Prize or something. Greg Hagelin,
that's the thing. Like
they don't enslave people to the degree.
I saw this woman interviewed on TV. She said, "I haven't seen my mother in 12 years." She said, "We'd like to see each other, but she's in Scientology and we won't let me see her." That's so ridiculous.
So long.
I mean, but I don't know how anyone would sort of voluntary
mind control. It's not voluntary.
No.
It's not. It's her mother is in a mind control situation, right? So she does not have permission to speak with her daughter, and she surrendered her own determinism to the authority. She says no.
Well, the other thing is
the loss of. I'm just gonna get a drink of water. If you want to stand in the shade, all right. So have a good day. That advertising is a form of mind control.
Sure.
Now, I am not saying that in a paranoid way. I'm saying that in a very factual way, is that mind control has its uses. It can influence people. If it's a product that doesn't function and people buy it, they use it for its function, is there really any harm? You know, not too much. So it's an acceptable, possibly constructive form of mind control, at least in the eyes of the SIP. There's ways of quitting smoking, which are also mind control. And then the more extreme example is national defense. Any army or any military uses mind control so that they can defend the people of the country. Also not harmful. Scientology uses mind control to manipulate people and harms them for its own interest. And that's where it becomes destructive. There are actually 23 exact techniques, psychological techniques, which are tested and known to work, that any cult can use. And cult is just a slang term for a mind control group. Usually it has an authoritative leader.
Right.
You can understand there are 4 basic things that can be categorized. So if you look at a group and you say, I want to know if they're possibly harmful, they possibly are a risk, then yeah, it's okay. You apply the BITE model, and it's an acronym. B stands for behavioral control.
Right.
Any group or organization which attempts to control a person's behavior is suspect. Then there is I, access to information. When people in a group are not allowed to access information, specifically probably information about the group that's available publicly. T, thought control, so controlling what a person is or is not allowed to think. And E, emotional control, controlling a person's ability to express emotion or influencing them to repress certain emotions. Scientology reflects all 4 of these, and so it can be said to be a destructive mind control group.
Yeah.
And those things are the things that they used on my dad over the course of 25 years. He's been a member for 25 years, and the particular piece of information that they teach is called disconnection policy, and it refers to what Scientology refers to as criminals, murderers, somebody who's potentially very dangerous, not somebody who's around, right? And so that's how they use disconnection, but they don't tell you that they're going to use it on you with authority on anyone they don't love.
Right.
And that's what they did to me. Because I worked for them for 2 years, I lived on their property. They used to occupy the top 4 floors of the building. They're a management organization responsible for all the Church of Scientology across the country. And I lived there for 2 years. And so I witnessed what they really are, which is not charitable.
Right.
They are for profit. I could go and talk about that a lot. But ultimately,
I don't doubt it.
when they found out that I was no longer interested in being a member, they wanted me to keep my mouth shut about the things that I saw. And when I refused, as you can see today, I'm educating as many people as I can about it. But when I refused, they issued that suppressive person declare on me.
Right.
So that's the full story.
It's they just pull such it's lies and deception, and I hate the fact that celebrities are pulled in to create a sort of a front.
And because celebrities are idolized by everybody.
Exactly, and I think it's really irresponsible. Now maybe they're just as blind as anybody, and they but
Tom Cruise, John Travolta, you've heard the names.
Yeah.
They are victims of destructive mind.
yeah.
So they are victims.
Yeah, they're just sucked right in so badly. So good for you guys for keeping the word out.
Thank you very much.
Could you, do any of you know how to get to Dundas from here?
Yeah,
Dundas
just keep
just
going
goes
straight down.
Straight down.
The world's biggest bookstore in that
Yep,
area?
yep.
Okay,
Just you'll bump right into it.
okay, because I was going the other way.
No,
I was
I
like,
wrong way.
The world's biggest bookstore is basically between Bay and University.
okay.
Somewhere between that. I'm not sure what street it's actually on.
Alright.
But I suggest you look west when you're actually walking south.
You would think because I've been here so many times, I practically live here, I still get lost. No, that's good for you guys for doing this.
Thank you. I'm doing this mainly right now. My message is directed to help prevent families from becoming victims of disconnection. Because once a person's in, it's too late. So prevention has to be the solution. People have to be wise enough to warn their parents, warn their children, warn their loved ones and friends that if you get into this too deeply, they turn you against your own. And if they can take my dad from me, they can definitely convince a child to disown the parent. So it's really a shame.
Did your dad ever get out?
Sure. No, my dad is still in. been in about 25 years now. And 2 years ago, he was ordered by them through issue of a suppressive person declare, which is document stating that I'm evil. Even though I've loved him all my life and I've lived with him all my life, this document said that I was evil and he had no choice but to kick me out. And I've not had any word from my dad in 2 years. So.
And this is like their Toronto headquarters?
This is the Toronto Church of Scientology. So their job is to pull in new people and get them into it. Where I worked was the management of Scientology. Their job is to relay orders from their headquarters, the international headquarters in Los Angeles, and relay the orders locally to each of the Church of Scientology in major cities in Canada. And they have basically a hierarchy, a network, a corporate management network is what it is. It's rather complex. I was working for the Canadian one. And I was hoping that through working there I would be helping people. But instead they wanted to turn me into a salesman. They had a telemarketing center that they built, just to call people and sell them Scientology books. They had a package that cost $3,500 for 18 books and a bunch of CDs. And if you look at the cost of manufacturing, that's probably worth about $300 of raw material. So we're not talking about charitable. If it was charitable, that package might cost $400 for all those CDs and books. But it costs $3,500, and they don't tell the members where the money goes. They buy the package like that, but the money never gets donated to charities. They don't have a super division. They never find a super. So there really is no benefit for the public, and yet they claim that they're raising all this money in a charitable fashion.
Can I ask if like the stereotypes that I usually see from Scientology are true? Like those, if you try to get out, they try to,
It's true in varying degrees, and it has to do with how fanatic the organization is. It's different. As you get closer to the core top, I've read books from people who've left at the international management, which suggests things are much more extreme. For the middle management that used to be in the upper 4 floors, and it's now out in Toronto, there's definitely a lot of yelling, and in terms of how they deal with their co-workers, especially the way seniors treat juniors. I've never seen anyone hurt somebody as a result of an order from an executive. So I wouldn't say that was true for the management base in Canada.
just individuals?
But, yeah, well, like if two men got into a fight, that would have nothing to do with the way Scientology runs its organization.
Yeah.
But in international management in California, I've read books, and the allegations in the books is that the leader of what used to be my religion, the leader David Miscavige, is not afraid to hit people to get compliance at that location. So I could agree with you in the sense that the allegations line up, make sense, and I have read policies by the founder of the religion that suggest use of force is the proper way to carry out authority, although he doesn't say exactly how. So there's a number of things which line up. I'd say what you've heard about making it difficult for people to escape, I would say it's more and more true the closer you get to the center of the organization, the fanatic, isolated few that are running it. As you go outwards from their control, for example, in this organization, staff members live at home, as opposed to the management where staff members live on the property. So if somebody decided to leave there, somebody would definitely be pissed. They would get a suppressive person declare if they decided never to come back or not to leave without doing the proper paperwork. But I wouldn't see anybody getting hurt. And I don't even see that, I wouldn't even think anyone would chase anybody because they're lower down, they're not as fanatic.
Yeah.
And I think if they were as fanatic, a lot of the people would leave. They have real lives and they know what reality is like. But the people that are in the core, they've forgotten what reality is like because they've been living there for possibly their entire life, or some for 25 years or more. So the closer you get to real life, the less crazy it is. And the more isolated you get, the worse it gets. Now, they've moved into an isolated location. So could it be getting worse? Possibly. And all I can say, I'm glad I'm not there to witness it. I mean, it's a shame for the people that are enduring it, but I'm glad I'm not being put through the same thing.
You guys keep it up.
Thank you. I'm Adam. You can find me online if you have any further questions about Scientology or its management. you can find, there's a website called Why We Protest. It features anonymous, and their icon is the Guy Fawkes mask. So I post on there. I'm on Facebook. If you really care to find me, Google Adam Scientology. I'm pretty sure you can find it for Toronto.
All right.
And if you want to help me, the best thing I can really say for now is just make sure that your friends, family, and loved ones know that they've got a very good sales pitch. And once somebody's in too deep, it's too late to get them out, because they will cut off their connection with their family once they have been, once they've surrendered to the mind control. But it's not too late now. Just to make sure, chances are low that anyone you know will get involved. Yeah. But there's a risk. I actually said to a reporter one day, I said, I think it should get down to a point where we have parents that tell their kids not to talk to strangers. That's like a common thing. I think it'll get down to a point where it's the same thing. Be careful about cults. Don't get involved with cults. Just people will just know. Unfortunately, it's not the case. People still need to learn more. I don't think everybody's fully educated. So it's a hot day, but I have talked with so many people. It's been a good experience.
Well, keep it up.
Thank you very much.
Look you up.
Thank you for your support.
Bye.
You too. Bye. And this is a quiet, peaceful demonstration. You should also know that I have lost my father to Scientology, and it's a very, very an issue that's very close to my heart. They have used mind control for the past 25 years on my father, and 2 years ago, because I didn't want to be a member anymore, they told him to kick me out of the house and never talk to me again. And that's a very hurtful thing that they've done, and they do it to other families as well. Whenever somebody disagrees with them or does not succumb to their mind control, they will destroy the family in order to protect their own interests. It's a very hurtful thing. So I just feel it's really important to talk to people. I don't talk to people in inner values. I understand that they're customers and they're there to relax. That's fine. And I generally just talk to them one-on-one with individuals. It's a quiet protest. I just ask for your side of that, and thank you very much. Have a good day, sir.
Oh, down go the blinds! Down go the blinds to suppress everybody! Scientology suppresses the public. Suppresses SP. Suppresses Anonymous. Suppresses critics. Suppresses the truth. Coffee call, dangerous call. They have locked up windows. Did it get broken? Did they just put it open? Who knows?